There you go.
There we go.
Perfect. Hey, Anna. You guys are muted. You can only wave or thumbs up. Hi, Craig. I've got to look through. There's Diane. Yay, and Christine. Hi, Jim. Hi, Shamil.
Morning, Jim. Good to see you. Shamil. Everybody's muted right now, so Ann and I get to talk and say hi to everybody.
We like it, but there's Anna in the chat. That's what we really want you to do is get the chat going. So there's Jackie. Christine Prime is in the house. Hi. Oh, I see, Bridget, you've got your message there. I know next year we'll do this back in person. Good morning, Shamil. There's Jackie. Yay. Hi, Jackie.
Joining in.
Here's Heidi. Good morning. Let's see, Brenda.
Beth from Mac, thanks so much for being a part of the morning with us. We really appreciate it.
What I love is seeing names that we've had at this breakfast for all 7 years that we've done the breakfast. This is very fun.
Yeah, Michelle, glad you got checked in this morning. See you with us here today.
Gina, morning, Jerry.
Yep, Brooke, welcome, Brooke.
Terry, you're sporting a very, very outdoorsy picture this morning. That's nice. Joe Weiss, former student of Randy's. That's so nice of you to join us. Thanks. Hi, Joyce. Morning, Jen. There you go. I can't even keep up with the chat. I'm just looking at the names on my list.
Yeah, I am too. Janelle, thanks so much for joining us. Glad to see you to be here this morning.
Morning. Mary Jane's here. Hi, Patty, and Bob, I assume, is with you, Patty. Good morning, Monica. Got a couple phone number people, so I can't say hi to you by name, but put your names in the chat and say good morning. Morning, Corey, bright and early for you.
Good morning, McDonald's.
Looks like we have a lot of bike folks with us this morning too. Bike purchasers and bikes that have been repaired. Randy and Rick and David, thank you.
I just saw Nancy Wones log in from Ohio. Good morning, Nancy. You're not going to win farthest, though. We've got a California person on the line. Sorry.
Jim Backstrom, thank you, Jim. Really appreciate your being a part of the morning.
Good morning, Rick King, Airport Commission, and enjoying life without a steady job from retirement. It's great.
Corey, our board chair, coming to us, I think, from California, again, making this a national event.
There you go.
Everyone has been entered, so everyone should be here. Steve, if you want to start.
Peggy, Dakota County, Dakota Electric, thank you so much.
Peter and Elizabeth Eckholm are here. Good morning, Peter and Elizabeth. Excellent. Well, let's get at all the sea of faces. This is excellent.
This is great. There's a thing called gallery view that I just discovered too. We can put everybody on at one time.
You know, for all your technology needs, call Steve.
Yeah, just give me a call. Welcome to the 7th annual DARTS fundraising breakfast. It's so great to have you all here, and we thank you for joining us this morning. This is a day that I think many of you know our entire DARTS team gets really excited about. It's a day we look forward to every year. Those of you who have been there, you know, you walk into the room at Mendakota Country Club and you grab some breakfast, and there is an energy and an excitement in the room that is probably one of the most exciting days for our team. Sometimes it's even hard to quiet the crowd just to get the morning going. There's a lot of emotion we bring to this day, and I think We're hoping that for this 1 hour, we can have an emotion of celebrations, celebrating the work that we do together, the mission that we have to enrich the aging journey for all of us, and all the work that you do to help us do that. Thank you so much for your partnering with us in this effort. We've got an agenda that I'm hoping to move along fairly quickly this morning. We're going to hear from one of our staff members at DARTS. We're going to hear from Jeanne Crain, our presenter this morning, and we're going to hear from our president, DARTS President Ann Bailey. And then there's going to be a few minutes, and I want to highlight a few minutes at the end of the meeting to join a Zoom meeting, and it's just, or a breakout meeting rather, and it's just simply to make some connections, to say hi to one another, to greet one another, maybe to take a couple minutes to kind of create that energy of sharing the morning together. I know we've all been in those breakout meetings, and some things that go a little bit long. This one you can come and go. We hope that everybody who's with us this morning will choose one of the breakout sessions and join us for a few minutes. Let's get the morning started. We've got one of our staff members. I'm going to be bold to call her an expert. She's been with us for 8 years, and she is our Director of Social Services and Innovation. She has often served on panels and done presentations throughout the county. Highly regarded member of our leadership team. And I'm going to very humbly say the winner for the second time of our March Madness contest here in the office. She wears the Burger King trophy and carries the crown rather, and carries the trophy around, and she wins by picking the team mascots. There's something wrong with that whole system, but that's a topic for another day. Please welcome this morning, Tabitha Barrett.
Well, thank you, Steve. No one can tell you're bitter about March Madness.
I'm over it, Tabitha. I'm over it.
Excellent. I'm going to share my screen. We just have a few slides to go through. So I'm going to go through with you just a few housekeeping things and talk just briefly about caregiving. I got to actually switch this. So it did this to me last time, I think. All right, so you should be seeing a big screen that says we are recording this session. So just so everybody knows, we'll be posting this later on YouTube. And then we do take our Zoom security very seriously, and we have staff working behind the scenes to make sure we're creating a safe, respectful space for everyone today so that we can have a good conversation. And then I just want to go through a couple just things for people that maybe are new to Zoom or aren't familiar with how we're using the platform. You are all entering into Zoom today muted. At the end, you'll have an opportunity to unmute when the hosts give you that opportunity, but just to eliminate distractions, we have everyone muted. We're encouraging everyone to keep your video on just so we can interact throughout the event. And we're encouraging everyone, like Ann and Steve have already mentioned, please use the chat, jump in there, welcome others, ask questions, ask for support, comment on anything we're talking about today. Keep that flowing. We have staff in there too helping with that. And then there's a reaction button for those of you that may be not as familiar with Zoom. Any of you can use that reaction button. Depending on your installment of Zoom, you might have different options there, but you should have a thumbs up, maybe a clapping hand where you're thinking something's going well in the presentation or you want to respond. Feel free to use that as well. And then you do have control over how you view your screen. So up in the upper right is a little button that says view, and you can flip between speaker and gallery view. Right now I'm sharing my screen, so you've got the big PowerPoint up, but I'm the only one that has a PowerPoint. So once I turn that off, you'll have that opportunity. And when we will maybe go back to gallery view then after the speeches. All right, so I was told to talk a little bit about the last 12 months and emotions and caregiving, and I thought of Inside Out. How many of you, now this is a time to check out your chat or use your little emotions. Do you know what Inside Out is for a movie? Those of you with kids probably do, that's how I know it, but just like a wave or a thumbs up if you do. If you raise your hand, then you have to lower your hand again. That's just a feature of it that just ends up telling you that we know you did it. So great. Okay, so some of you are trying out those reactions. That's great. those of you that don't know Inside Out, it's about a teenage girl, and these characters up on the screen are her 5 main emotions, and they kind of control her reaction during the whole, just in life. So it's fear, anger, joy, sadness, and disgust. And during the movie, joy gets lost, and the other emotions are in control of the panel for a bulk of the movie. So I thought that is a good analogy for 2020. The last 12 months, I feel like joy may have gotten a little lost for a lot of us, and that maybe some of these other emotions have been in more control. So I invite you to put in the chat if you think maybe the little purple guy, fear, was in more control, or sadness, or anger, or disgust. Or maybe you did feel like joy has been in control, but I think it's been a really hard year. And in particular, it's been a difficult 12 months for caregivers, whether you're caring for children who are now homeschooling half the time, or you're caring for older adults, or both. It's been a pretty challenging time. So at DARTS, when we talk about caregivers, we really do focus on people who are caring for older adults. So maybe you're taking care of your spouse or your parent or an aunt or uncle, or just a friend or neighbor where you're helping out mowing their lawn. That is caregiving, even if it's not the person living with you. But during the pandemic, it has been more often the person may be living with you, because it's been frightening to put people into group living situations where they may not be able to visit, and it's such a change. So I just wanted to highlight, there are a lot of people providing care. In Minnesota alone, over 585,000 people are providing care to older adults. Over 11 million people in America are providing unpaid care to people living with dementia. And for those of you employers that are visiting us today, over 60% of these caregivers have indicated that their caregiving tasks have impacted their work. So one of the things that we do at DARTS is we sometimes do workplace seminars, and this is just one small slice of that seminar. We talk a little bit about what employees and the employers can do to support their caregivers. And the key thing that employers and employees can do is have open communication. The statistics show that 1 in 3 caregivers report that their employer doesn't even know they're providing care. So how can the employer support them if they're not sharing what they're going through day to day? And what they're doing with caregiving could be impacting their work as well. So it's really important to have these open conversations. In the last 12 months, 1 in 4 women have considered resigning or downshifting due to the responsibilities that have come with the pandemic. So I think it's just important for employers to recognize that we need to be good support for our team and recognize when they're caregiving and how we can support them. And some of the ways that we can is just exploring some of those more flexible options that you might have in your control. Flexible scheduling, remote working. We've all gotten much better at that. Whatever it is, and if the employee feels supported, they're going to do better work for you when they're on their shift, and they're going to focus on work while they're at work. So with that, I just want to say, find your joy. It is important for us to come back and realize this has been a hard year, but we need to find things that bring us joy, whether it's humor or pets, or spending time with family or friends, getting out in nature, reading a book, relaxing, doing crafts, artwork, whatever it is that brings you joy. Try to incorporate that in your day-to-day, because it has been a very hard year for everyone. And if you're still struggling, know that there are support options available. There is a support line available for COVID-related stress. Your workplace, if you're working, probably has an employee assistance program that you can contact. And if you're caring for an older adult, we'd love to talk to you here at DARTS, because we do provide that support for those caregivers on a regular basis, and we'd love to help. And with that, that's all I have. So I'll turn it back over to Steve for the rest of the program.
Tabitha, thank you so much. In all seriousness, I want to say thank you for your expertise, and thank you for the opportunity to have some takeaways from the morning. We hope to bring some really practical tips for people to share, and that it truly brings us some joy. One of the greatest joys that we have here at DARTS is this list of sponsors that you see in front of you. We've done this breakfast now for 7 years. This is the highest level of sponsorship we have ever had for this breakfast. We have just over $9,000 of sponsors helping to kick off this day and get our donations going, and we are incredibly thankful. If you're here this morning, I think most of you are, we're just going to invite you to wave your hand as I highlight your name and call you out, which I think is really important. Bremer Bank is our presenting sponsor today. We have obviously Jeanne Crain, Liam, Allie, Clarice. Thank you so much for stepping up and becoming the presenting sponsor of this breakfast. We have 4 event sponsors for the day. Thomson Reuters, been with us for a long, long time, paid for all of our annual reports, which many of you probably have in the mail. Sharon, hope you're here this morning with us. Joe, Michelle, the entire team from Thomson Reuters. Securian Financial, Anna, another one of our board members, stepping up this year as event sponsor. And our partners next door at the Winslow, Real Estate Equities, Sue, Big D Construction, Chris Lynn, thank you again for stepping up to this level. And this year, more table sponsors than we've ever had. Rick's Bike Sale, again, Randy, Rick, David, Felix, as we call you. All of you guys, thanks for everything you've done and for the opportunities we have again to make this bike sale happen in a couple different ways this spring. Chandler and Brown, Janelle, thanks for joining us this morning. One of the law firms that we partner with in estate planning. Thank you so much for your table sponsorship again this year. Brenda Opfelbacher, past board chair, and Brana Lindell sponsoring a table together. Corey Kalheim and Brigida. Corey, our board chair, thank you for your sponsorship. Drake Bank, Scott Swenson with us again. Scott, I think you sponsor everything in the community that's going on. Great to have you here today. Spire Credit Union, another really long and faithful partner. Jim Ganger, Dan Stoltz, the whole gang that's here from Spire this morning. Again, it takes us a few minutes to go through this, but this truly for us is one of the highlights of the day. To be able to look at this slide, see these names, I just want you to know that we could not be more grateful for the support that you give to our organization. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My dad was a cop for 30 years. It's been an interesting time for my 3 brothers and me. He was a cop for 30 years when we lived in Massachusetts outside of Boston. Some of you know that story. But he also had 2 extra jobs. My mom would make 100 meatballs every time we had dinner, and by the end of the day, the 100 meatballs were gone. Financially, I don't know how my mom and dad did that. I really don't. To this day, my 3 brothers and I talk about how did they ever, on dad's salary and the 2 extra jobs, one of them, Jeanne, was working for a bank as a collector in the evening. He would go out and collect, from people who hadn't paid their loans. And he did it all to support the family. And we never, ever, ever thought that we were poor. I mean, we just ate so well. And again, to this day, I don't know how they did it. This whole issue of families and finances and supporting parents and grandparents and parents supporting children. It's a topic that is on everybody's radar today, and we couldn't be more grateful than we are to have Jeanne Crain with us this morning. Jeanne is the president and the chief executive officer of Bremer Financial Corporation. It's a $15 billion financial services organization with locations in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and North Dakota. As CEO since November 2016, Jeanne has combined her extensive industry knowledge with decades of leadership experience to advance the company's strategy and performance, to champion Bremer's mission and values, and to deliver on its commitment to help communities thrive. As an active volunteer and a community leader, Jeanne serves on the board of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis and the YMCA of the North. She also recently co-chaired the Minnesota Task Force on Housing. Jeanne earned a master's degree at Marquette University, and she has a bachelor's degree from the University of North Dakota, where she was a 2018 recipient of the Sue Award, the highest honor given by the Alumni Association and Foundation for Achievement, Service, and Loyalty. Jeanne has recently been recognized by American Banker as a woman to watch as part of their 2020 Most Powerful Women in Finance recognition, and by our local Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal as one of their 2019 Most Admired CEOs. Congratulations, Jeanne. Jeanne is married, and she has 3 young adult sons and we are honored and privileged to welcome you. Please join me in welcoming this morning, Jeanne Crain.
Thank you so much, Steve. Good morning, everyone. And while it's virtual, it's really wonderful to be with everyone today. And I really want to congratulate the DARTS team for making this happen, especially after having to cancel last year due to the pandemic. Again, Steve, I really appreciate that introduction. As the president and CEO of Bremer Bank, I'm really honored to be here on behalf of the bank and to help reflect our commitment to community. You know, Bremer's been a longtime supporter of DARTS, and we're really proud to be the presenting sponsor for today's events. But before I begin my comments, I do want to acknowledge and to thank you for your tireless work, Steve, and for your dedication and passion to this organization and its mission. It's just unquestionable how much you care about Minnesota seniors having the resources they need to live rich and full lives. And I really sincerely admire your dedication to that purpose. You know, I greatly enjoyed learning a lot more about DARTS as I was preparing my remarks for today. And what especially struck me were the stories of those seniors that were directly impacted by the work of DARTS and its volunteers. You know, I personally was blessed with a mom who lived to be 90 and a dad who lived to be 97. And those stories of seniors as part of the critical fabric of our community and what community means to our seniors really rang loud and clear from my own experience with my parents. So I appreciate everyone's participation in today's events. So thank you to the guests for joining today, because the work of this ever been. You know, DART's mission is clearly stated. It's to create connections that enrich aging. And I love the quote in DART's 2019 annual report from its president, Ann Bailey, which is, "Our communities are strongest when all ages thrive." It's so true, and it's so important. And when I think about Ann's comment, you know, I really regret to admit that the goal for all ages, for every member of our community thriving, well, it's feeling that much more and more challenging. You know, in the last dozen years, we've experienced both the Great Recession and now a global pandemic. And these incredible events, they've impacted every single one of us, our business communities, our nonprofit communities, our schools, our houses of worship, younger generations, and our seniors. And at the same time, we know that baby boomers are retiring in large numbers. The sheer volume of retirees is widely predicted to impact our workforce, our economy, and our healthcare systems. So it's important to talk about all these new challenges being driven by an aging population, because workforce, healthcare, the business environment, housing, and the vibrancy of our communities are all interwoven. And when our local communities and economies meet with new challenges, our seniors within those communities face these same challenges as well. And sometimes they even bear more of their fair share of the burden. So all of this is to emphasize that there is a lot going on to influence the lives of our seniors, and the impact of world events and our own community events are something we need to pay attention to and help solve for. So as the CEO of a financial institution, I'm paying close attention to what we can help solve for. I'm interested in understanding the financial well-being of our seniors. And it's a stark reality that many seniors do live with very limited financial resources. And there's actually a growing percentage living in poverty. And we know that from studies that have been done, many seniors have not saved adequately for retirement. In fact, there's a study from 2014 that 1 in 7 seniors have no retirement savings whatsoever. You know, and while low interest rates have been great for home buyers and homeowners refinancing debt, it's also meant that seniors with funds and savings accounts and money markets and CDs really haven't realized any significant returns from those types of investments. You know, certainly inflation has remained low. However, in some savings products, it likely means that interest on those investments have not even kept up with inflation. So the retirement savings in that whole system of savings in our country has 3 mainstays. It's social or retirement as well. And there's a growing share of older Americans who are relying only on Social Security. And this essentially means that they have less money than they did when they were working, because Social Security replaces about 40% of an average wage earner's income when someone retires. And if any of you have worked with a financial advisor, they will all tell you that you need at least 70% of your pre-retirement earnings to live comfortably. Even people who emerged from the Great Recession unharmed have had a hard time saving because average wages haven't changed enough to increase the savings rate. And this has had the greatest impact on low-income earners for whom wages have remained relatively constant. So for many of our seniors, the answer to lack of savings has meant working longer and longer for those who are able. I mentioned that many seniors have limited savings or maybe haven't saved at all. And as a financial institution, many banks are involved in this, but we consider the financial well-being of all members of our community to be really important. And it's really, we just have to recognize that many seniors are feeling anxious about finances these days. So what can be done to help seniors and really importantly, generations to come? And simply said, people need help in being connected to resources and understanding what it takes to save for old age in order to make retirement more affordable. And that's why one of our charitable endeavors at Bremer is supporting the work of financial literacy. All of us at this event today know that financial literacy is important because it equips us with the knowledge and skills we need to manage money effectively. And without it, without even thinking about it, we all make multiple financial decisions every day. So becoming financially literate puts you in control of your own financial situation. And we know as a financial institution, and again, many others as well, play a very responsible role in helping educate and provide resources regarding financial literacy. And we are particularly committed to that work. Another especially critical area of financial health for seniors that is really personally near and dear to me is the continued and growing concern of available, affordable housing. You know, baby boomers have been the dominant group among the homeless since the 1980s. And a study done just a few years ago, this was in 2017, projected that homelessness among people aged 65 and older will triple in the next 10 years. I find that just absolutely shocking. You know, the significant shortage of affordable housing, particularly in the Twin Cities, has been a known issue for several years. And that's why housing has been one of Bremer's main focus areas for our community work the last several years. We've seen the need increase, and we continue to determine how we can help solution for it in the work that we do, including providing below market interest rate mortgages to help subsidize that affordability gap. It's a known fact that even before COVID-19, there was a serious and growing housing crisis in all of the United States. And nearly a quarter of all renter households in the US, that's roughly about 11 million people, were spending more than half their income on rent. And that leaves far too little for other necessities like food, medical care, and transportation. And the effect of housing insecurity, or worse yet, even potential eviction, on families' health and educational outcomes is also very well known. And so the pandemic has only made these disparities in our housing markets more severe and more apparent. Affordable homes are a vital part of our country's infrastructure. So there's no question, again, that financial institutions play a critical role in creating and preserving affordable housing. And something that could really help increase this, there's a new bipartisan bill that was introduced just a week ago on April 15th. And if enacted, this bill, which is called the Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act, would make significant strides toward addressing our country's severe shortage of affordable housing by expanding and strengthening the housing credit. And so the housing credit has been an important tool in bringing together private sector resources with oversight by state agencies to create a real and long-lasting solution for creating affordable housing. And banks have really been a crucial participant in the program's success. You know, the low-income housing tax credit has really been a model for public-private for over 30 years. And in that course of time, there's been over 3.5 million apartments that have been financed by that tax credit being available. And since 1986, the housing credit program has provided close to 8 million low-income afford. Virtually no affordable rental housing development would occur without the housing credit. So this is important and does help solution in serving some of the hardest to reach areas nationwide. So as a financial professional, I'm really supportive of legislation that helps the advancement of development and supply of affordable housing. And speaking of home, I do want to comment on some of the most impactful steps we can take for seniors in our community that goes beyond their financial health and focuses on their overall well-being. And that's to get involved in the work that DARTS does to help seniors age in place safely. I believe we all appreciate the importance of home. And while a home environment and physical space changes for many of us over the course of our lifetime, having a safe home environment is a basic human need and where we find connection with community. And having a community is critical to our mental health. Seniors who are able to remain in their home and live independently have more control of their lives. And there are so many small things that make aging in place a possibility. You know, DARTS is often known for the transportation services it provides to senior, but DARTS also provides various home services, both for indoors and outdoors needs. And that's all to help seniors stay in their homes as long as possible. I think it's important for this whole audience to know that there's currently less than 1% of philanthropic dollars in the state that go to support older adults. So another important aspect of DARTS work is to be an important advocate and increase awareness of the needs of seniors in our community. So again, whether it's home repairs or shoveling snow or raking lawns, all of that offers incredible help for people at any age, but especially for our seniors staying at home. You know, there's something as small as installing a grab bar on a shower that can be an absolute life changer for a senior. And I know that because I experienced that with my own dad, who moved into a facility with my mom. You know, my parents had very different aging issues. My mom was challenged with memory issues and my dad with physical mobility issues. But the most important issue as a family that we needed to solve for them was how they could age together. And with a few physical adaptations for my dad, including my husband installing a grab bar in the shower, and then having a safe environment for my mom, we were able to make that happen. Again, all of this comes and highlights the services that DARTS provides to our seniors. And it reinforces why DARTS is such an important organization in our community and why we are so glad to support them. An organization like DARTS fights to ensure seniors have a quality of life that they deserve, that any of us would want. And DARTS has been doing this work since 1976. And it's up to all of us to ensure they have the resources they need to continue their impactful work. You wouldn't be here if you didn't feel as strongly as I did. And I want to thank you for your support of this wonderful organization. And again, Steve, thanks to you and your staff for your extraordinary work and your leadership. I am so in admiration of all that you do. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Steve, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, Jeanne, I'm going to immediately jump in and say thank you to you. As I talk about the word expert this morning, you certainly bring expertise in this whole arena, and we are so appreciative of the information that you've given to us this morning. It's so insightful. The statistics, some of them are staggering, and it calls for a response, not only from an organization like DARTS, but from the whole community. You know, Jeanne, I think there are probably a lot of questions that folks have this morning. We are so appreciative of your taking the time to be in one of our breakout rooms following this session. So who want to join you and say hi and maybe have an opportunity to ask their questions at that time. Thanks for the expertise, but thank you even more, Jeanne, for making this so personal, for making this connection that Bremer has to DARTS so real and so genuine. This is a partnership that has lasted for a long time, and it makes a profound impact on the work that we do. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Tabitha did a great job in talking about some of the emotions that we have all experienced in 2020. It was quite a year for all of us, personally, professionally, and certainly emotionally. It was a tough time for a lot of nonprofit organizations like DARTS. Some of them did not make it. Some of them struggled through, and there were a lot of financial challenges to provide staff, to provide programs, and so many of those things were lost. I'm proud to say that I'm part of an organization that hung in there and hung in there in a very strong way. And with no apology at all to say that's due to the strength of the leadership of this organization. Ann Bailey provided that leadership with integrity and with a great deal of innovation. Whenever there was a challenge, then there was a new way to do transportation. There was a new way to meet the needs of our seniors, providing groceries, partnering and collaborating with other organizations. We are so proud and so delighted to be part of this organization with leadership from Ann Bailey. Ann's going to have a few, I was going to say a few words. She'll have more than a few words. She always does, which is great. Ann, let's get a few words from our president. Please welcome President of DARTS, Ann Bailey.
Thank you, Steve. And you're right, I don't come with a few words very often, but I will be watching our clock because we want to have a little chance to break out into the breakout rooms and talk to each other and finally get to unmute. So thank you so much. Jeanne, thank you so much for being here, for Bremer being a partner with us. I think you've been our banking partner for at least 20 years, and I think it's 25. So for much of DARTS history, Bremer has been alongside of us, and we are greatly appreciative to that. And at no time was it more evident than last year when we all were in crisis mode saying, what can we do? And the help that we received from Bremer to make sure we could rapidly get through the paycheck protection loan process was fantastic. So many thanks to you and your team for all the great work you do in the community. I wish we could all be in one room. I have seen comments coming through and we've been chatting that we miss seeing people in person. But I'm grateful this year that we're able to do this event at all. Last year, this event came right at the height of everything hitting the fan, and so we didn't. We just said, can't pivot that quickly. We have other things to focus on. And so I'm grateful that we're here today. One of the things that has been a coping mechanism, and Tabitha spoke so well earlier about this, is when you look at what this year has dealt to us, there are a lot of things that you can do to cope, but many of the experts that I see boil back to one thing. And that one thing is express gratitude every day. Express gratitude every day. So I want you to be ready on your reaction buttons because I am expressing my gratitude for the people who are here. And I would love to have reactions come up on the screen if you have ever in your lives volunteered for DARTS. Whether you've raked a lawn, helped us do presentations, sorted stuff in the office, yay, give me those reactions. That is fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. So much of the work that we volunteered differently this year. Give me a little reaction, and hopefully you board members actually raised your hand on the volunteer question, but let's try again. If you're a board member for DARTS, or you were a board member for DARTS, Jack, give a little response. Let's see those board members. So past and present board members, thank you. You volunteer your time. It usually amounts to about 40 hours a year of your time and expertise that you give to DARTS. You help to set our strategic direction. Thank you. And last and certainly not least, the staff members of DARTS, please give us reactions. A lot of you are sitting there with some sort of DARTS background. Give us reactions because this organization is as strong as the people that we have working for us and with us. And you all provide head and heart. We don't get through a crisis like this past year without the fantastic people that we have on staff. So thank you. And thank you all for being here today. Many of you are partners we work with. We provide services together. Thank you all for all that you do. You know, Steve, come back to me, Steve. I've been thinking about this. I feel badly that we aren't actually giving anyone a breakfast. All they got was this pretty picture of a breakfast. So we would like to draw a couple names so that a couple of you get some breakfast items. So we have 4 prizes, right, Steve? 4?
We have 4 prizes yet, 4 door prizes. Do you have them?
All right. So Steve, can you call out the names? The first 2 prizes are $20 gift cards to Z's Diner here in Eagan. So call out a couple names of who gets a gift card for Z's Diner.
I've randomly picked a couple names off the list for the 2 gift cards. We have Christopher Laws.
Yay, Christopher has been here about every year of the breakfast, so that's fun.
And David Anderson.
Dave Anderson helps with Rick's bike sale and has been here, I think, again, every year of the breakfast. So fantastic. And then Steve, our friend Jason over at Dodge Nature Center said, hey, Ann, I got something you could give for a breakfast treat. Holy Hannah. Can y'all see in front? I know it's hard with my background. This is a 2-pound jar of Dodge Nature Center honey from here in Dakota County, or maybe it's slightly Washington County if it came from Cottage Grove. Do we have 2? We have 2 of these, Steves. Do you have 2 more names?
Yeah, there are still 2 of those. Thank you, Jason. When Ann showed me those yesterday, I just had to do everything I could to not take one home, but we still have 2 of them. The first one I drew was Patty Strandquist.
Yay, Patty and Bob. This will be wonderful for you guys.
And the second one I have, Ann, is Peggy Smutka.
Peg Smutka, absolutely fantastic volunteer. And if you were at Party It Forward, she was one of our taped people. So congratulations to all of you. Very fun. So Jeanne mentioned the low-income seniors. And when we do our stats every year, and hopefully those of you who've been partner with DARTS before have gotten your annual report, should have just come in the mail this week for 2020. And one of the stats in the annual report is that about 80% of the people who disclose their income to us are at 250% of the poverty level. What does that mean? That means they make $30,000 a year or less. Think about that and what you would do or not be able to do if that was your income level and you were still trying to pay rent on an apartment, pay for health insurance, pay for some sort of home services, some help around the house. That $30,000 goes really, really quickly. So that is the people that oftentimes come to DARTS for help. We will help anyone, but those low income people often don't have other options. When you give a gift to DARTS, the gifts that you give help to make sure that we can serve anyone at any level of income. So that's one of the things that your gift does for us. The other thing is just, and I see I'm about at time, so I'll go quickly, but we help in low-income apartment buildings. We provide services so that if people come in, see Vicki nodding her head, she's one of the people in the building, Sue is somewhere, and Christine. When people come in and they don't know how to get to a service, our staff helps point people to the service. Early in the pandemic, we were collecting stories from older adults to say, how had you met a similar adversity in your many years of living? And around Juneteenth, we asked people for stories that resonated with Juneteenth. And the abbreviated story that I'll share is that there was a person in one of these low-income buildings who said when they first learned about Juneteenth, they were a person of color, when they first learned about Juneteenth, they were excited, they felt recognized. And then with the events of George Floyd's murder, they experienced racism similar to that racism that had been felt in the 60s. And it was terrible. That's really hard. It's really hard to hear as a staff person. It's hard to experience. And this person went on to say that they didn't notify anyone because this was happening with neighbors. They have to live in that building, right? So they felt a little bit trapped. Now, the happy ending of that story is that someone was willing to tell a DARTS person this story, to open up, to disclose and share. And that happened because we're there. We build a trusted relationship, and those relationships are the creating connections. The enrich aging is that this person was able to share a burden and didn't feel as alone. The pandemic has taught us what isolation feels like. And for older adults, that isolation literally can kill. So when you give a gift to DARTS, your gift helps to be sure that we have staff available to answer the phone, to be there, to build that relationship. So when they hit a point of need, they have a trusted person to go to. It is really hard to ask for help. It's much easier to mention to a friend that you're struggling, and then we can help. So thank you. Your gifts, your participation, this is what enables DARTS to live its mission of creating connections. And oftentimes, as volunteers, as staff people, you are that connection. It's fantastic. So I just heard my phone chime as a text, and I don't get many texts, so I know that the text that just arrived without looking was the text saying, here's the link for how to give. First of all, I want to say thank you. To date, we have raised over $23,000. It's probably gone up. Many of you gave when you registered for the event. That is so fantastic. Thank you so much. Many of you give at different times of the year. That's okay. Just send us a note and say, this is my pledge for what I'll be able to do this year. Many of you feel like money isn't what you can give, but you can give time. Angela, Aaron, there will be a breakout room specifically for volunteering. Talk to folks about how you'd like to volunteer this year. These are all great ways to give, and we appreciate you all. The biggest thing that you can do for today is to hear the stories that you've heard today. Tabitha sharing the importance of supporting caregivers, realities of how it is to grow old in a financial sense as well as an isolation sense. Carry those stories with you. The biggest gift that you can give DARTS is to share one or more of those stories with somebody who wasn't here. Spread the word, make sure people understand that supporting aging services supports people for a lifetime. It helps to really make our communities thrive. And for that, we are grateful for you.
And Steve, I'll just say something quick too once everyone's back in.
Well, looks like we've got a lot of people coming back. As we said to our the folks in our room, thank you so much for this morning, and thank you for sticking around. We're saying, you know, sometimes you hear breakout room and then everybody goes away. It was very nice to have people stick around for just a few minutes. We're so glad that we ended up doing this, being able to say hi and thank you to lots of folks and making a few more connections. It's just so wonderful and inspiring to our DARTS team to see this many faces and this many participants in the morning. Again, a sincere thank you to our sponsors. A huge thank you to Jeanne Crain and the partnership that we have with Bremer. Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to be back together next year at Mendocota Country Club and enjoying the breakfast there. And we hope that you and many of your friends and family and network are there to join us. I've got about 8:46, so I think we blew it by 1 minute here. At the end of the day, thanks, enjoy the day, and let's get connected again real soon. Thank you, enjoy the day.
Thank you, everybody.